It is the year 2472, and the Earth has suffered a great calamity. Hundreds of years of popular culture have vanished. Without the sacred films and texts for guidance, civilization is devoid of anything cool. Then, 3 incubation chambers are unearthed, and from within, men from the time of the great blockbusters emerge. Now, through highly interesting conversations, they share invaluable insight about what once was. The movies, the shows, the comics, toys, and books. This is
The Hyperspace.
Podcasting in the 25th century.
Welcome in, podcast pioneers, to the hyperspace. Podcasting in the 25th century, the interweb's first and still only podcast. My name is Jared.
My name is Matt.
I'm Mike.
And guess who's with us tonight? Once again, the collector.
Brian.
Brian's here. Brian is here. He's sitting in with us on this very special show because tonight, guys, we are giving everyone a little preview of what is going to be our new show, The Kenobi Chronicles.
Kenobi!
That's right. We're going to do the Kenobi Chronicles when Obi-Wan Kenobi airs on Disney+. And tonight we're going to talk about the teaser. We're going to do a little teaser breakdown as we've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get there, Matt,
Yeah.
tell us what we're going to do.
Oh, you know what, guys? We're going to get a little random first.
Random Access Memory.
All right, the RAM segment, guys. Random access memory. I'm going to ask a random question to everybody and see what comes back. Now, Jared, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to lean a little heavy on you on this one. Okay?
All right.
So I was thinking about this the other day, and I briefly went online, and I didn't see an answer. So I thought maybe I'd throw this out to the group and see what comes back. Okay? So,
Do it.
Back to the Future.
Yes.
Is a movie from the 80s.
One of the quintessential classic movies from our youth.
Sure.
I never gave it a second thought, and I don't know why, but follow me on this. Now, the Marty McFly that we start with in the movie, his family's, lower middle class, not doing great, but, not destitute, but they're not really like living the high life, right?
Sure.
Marty goes back in time, fixes some things, adjusts some things, comes back to 1985, and his family's different, right?
Yes.
They're now well-to-do. Everybody's happy. Everybody is much more affluent, much more affable, and he's very happy in this life. Now, here's my question, guys. I'm going to throw this out. The Marty McFly, from the timeline that he ends up in, was not unhappy, was living a good life with his family, right?
But he was
What
still
happened to him?
Yeah, he was still buddies with Doc, and he still ended up there.
The same way? The same thing happened to somebody who had a completely different life? Is that the answer? Because I don't know. I'm asking, what is that a canon answer?
we've talked about this before.
I don't remember.
The whole series of articles in Starlog magazine called The Other Marty McFly.
That's the other Marty that was from that timeline?
Yeah, they're talking about the other Marty McFly, about this guy who had it good.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Okay. I remember now. I'm
so
sorry.
he jumps in his DeLorean, and what's he coming back to? I
All
mean,
right. Here's my thoughts on all this.
sure,
I'm just going to cut to the chase.
cut.
Mm-hmm.
The Marty McFly that exists is the only Marty McFly that exists.
So he's a constant no matter what timeline he's in.
That's what I think.
That's probably the more hopeful version of this, because otherwise,
He's the
can you
dimensional
imagine?
nexus of everything.
That's the way I've always looked at it.
Because look at it this way: that Marty goes back in time. He feels like maybe he doesn't have to fix anything, so he just lets things play out as they played out originally without his involvement, and he comes back to the nightmare of George McFly being a loser and Biff, bullying him all the time, and maybe not the Biff Tannen that has Biff Tannen's Pleasure Paradise You know,
Right.
that not that 1985, but
But I mean, if he's going back, if 1955, November 5th, is that like untouched part of the timeline where all alternate timelines can come back to as the center strand before it branches, wouldn't that Marty have run into the other Marty in that November 5th, 1955? Wouldn't they have collided and seen each other?
I don't
Well,
think so.
They didn't. So
Or maybe
didn't.
they merged as they both appeared at the same time?
But you have to also realize that Marty is growing up in a timeline where Doc has had those experiences with Marty in 1955. So Doc can probably arm him. He knows he's going to be shot. He's going to say, okay, jump in the DeLorean. Here's what you need to do to get right back to where you need to be. And he changes nothing. And
Just gotta hide out and let it happen?
yeah, he goes, okay, just chill out for a day or two, then I'll fix the DeLorean for you. It's cool. And then you come back here, and then your whole life turns to crap because you didn't interfere in their lives, and George didn't save Lorraine and all that stuff.
My theory of time travel, if like I've sat and thought about it, like what if time travel was possible, which I don't believe it is, but if it was possible, and I kind of go, and it was kind of interesting when I saw Avengers Endgame because they did this theology with it, and it's what I've always believed.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to go back in time, you wouldn't change anything because you already did that.
Yes,
It already happened.
that's the Avengers' way of dealing with that.
Now, it's fun to when you watch these movies and be like theoretical. I mean, obviously, it's fun to theorize on that. But I think, I guess my safe space for that, and not letting myself get lost in like all these different, because if you think about it, well, here's another interesting, and I think this is a little bit maybe comparable. Okay, so Marty comes back, everything's different. Okay, he doesn't share the same memories with his family.
Correct.
So basically, he has to find a way to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the same thing that happened in Days of Future Past with Wolverine.
Yes.
But it was interesting. It was the same thing with like Doc. It was Professor X, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been waiting for you to show up. Now let me go and tell you all this stuff you don't remember."
Yes, because Logan's the only one who has those memories.
Right.
And it did make sense, like when you're talking about the Avengers, when whoever it was, I don't know if it was War Machine or somebody said, well, what if we just go back in time and, strangle baby Thanos? And they say it doesn't matter because Thanos still did what he did, and we're still in this situation. You would just kill a baby Thanos, but that baby Thanos hasn't done anything yet.
Well, my belief is you would just fail. You just wouldn't be able to do it. Did you ever see Deadpool 2?
I did.
Do you remember the end where he goes back in time to kill baby Hitler?
Yes, and he kills his Wolverine version of himself.
No, well, the gag is, the very last one is he goes and he's in the nursery and he's trying to kill baby Hitler and he can't do it. And he ends up like holding him and he's like singing to him.
Oh man. Well, that's all kinds of craziness.
Well,
So-
the other Marty may be one of the most tragic figures in all of
If indeed he
history.
does come back to that future where George is sitting at a table eating peanut brittle.
What if he comes back for like revenge? He's like a Terminator.
Maybe
Well,
he's like a
half
Samuel
cyborg.
Beckett. Maybe
Dude,
he's like a
now,
quantum
look,
leap, and he's never come back. He's
You've just cracked the code for the Back to the Future legacy sequel, where old Michael J. Fox has been living in this reality for 30 years, and he's like all messed up and crazy.
oh, that's not
Yeah.
good.
Okay, anyway, wow. That was quite a random space you took us to.
There you go. Well, I think it's time we bring it back and talk about the important stuff here.
He is here.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
All right, so just recently we got an Obi-Wan Kenobi teaser trailer dropped
what?
on us. Yeah. That's we're
Is this
talking.
a real one, not the fan made one?
Yeah.
That people.
If
Hey, did you see that Kenobi trailer? That's not real.
No, man. How many times? I mean, I get people messaging me on Facebook. Is this one real? No, it's not.
It's like a blatant Ewan McGregor from like Train Spotting.
Yeah, it's like
There's
why
some
he-
movie. What was the movie he was in? They were taking footage.
He
from
was
some
he
movie
played
was in.
Jesus in a movie.
Yeah.
Oh well, there you go.
And so, and he actually looks very similar to how he looks in this trailer in many parts. But Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm going to say up front, Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character. He hasn't always been, but as I have grown up, and as I have gotten more with him from the prequels and the Clone Wars, I really appreciate Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, he
Obi-Wan is like the model Jedi.
yes.
He's not like militant like Mace. He's not as
However, he did best Darth Maul and Darth Vader and General Grievous. So
Yeah,
he's,
like
but
he's-
he is
he-
a very skilled individual.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like the model Jedi.
Yeah.
He has the compassion, but he also knows when to lead. He knows when to follow. He knows not to let his emotions get involved, but he's also a major bad ass
yes,
Jedi.
He's the last of the great. He's the last of the Jedi.
he is.
Of the real
And
Jedi. I
that
mean,
he took upon himself this life of isolation, this selfless act to watch over Luke, which I think we see. You know, we all are not really fond of Luke Skywalker's story arc in the sequel movies. But if anyone has any reason to go hide on an island and say, F this life, it's probably Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because his best friend, his apprentice, turned to the dark side and they got in a horrific battle. And he lost all of his friends, all the Jedi, and his entire way of life in basically the space of a day. Like, his whole world was destroyed. And there's even a little bit in this teaser trailer where he goes, it's over, and we lost.
we lost.
And so the fact that he is continuing his mission and just didn't go hiding out and milking sea cows because his nephew had a bad dream. That's what really draws me to his character these days.
You know, I think that in this show, I think you may have Obi-Wan being very introspective about what happened with, Anakin and how did this go so south? Why did this go horribly wrong? How did my apprentice, go to Palpatine under my nose? I mean, I know they're friends and all, but this? I think he's going to spend a lot of time reflecting, at least probably, I would think early in the series, reflecting on that.
Oh, I think like to what Brian just mentioned, one of the best moments of Revenge of Sith is when Anakin is laying there and Obi-Wan just like, you were supposed to bring what's the line?
You were supposed to
You're my brother. You're
Bring-
supposed to bring balance to the Force.
not leave it in darkness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can just hear the pain in his voice.
Well, I've heard a lot of scuttlebutt that there's going to be, especially with Hayden in this series, that there's going to be some Clone War flashbacks. So there may be a flashback arc that we
That
follow
would be
that's going to like put both of them in live action Clone War situations.
Hayden
And
Christensen looks unchanged in the last 15 years.
it's true. So I mean, I think you're gonna get a lot of what Brian said. There's gonna be some introspective stuff, and I think you're gonna possibly see not a Hayden as Darth Vader, but though you might. But I think you're going to see a Clone Wars arc
God,
in
I didn't even
flashback
think of
that's
that.
going to tie what happens together. Maybe it's with the Inquisitors, maybe it's with something else. But we're seeing, obviously, the Inquisitors are in full force, which they're getting a lot of flack online, the Inquisitors. But I think I think they're cool.
No, I think it's very interesting that they're bringing, and it's again.
Well, who else are they going to bring up against Kenobi?
Well, he can't be fighting Darth Vader all the time because
And like stormtroopers, I mean, he's just going to mow through them like
Yeah.
nothing.
But again, and we have to say, if you haven't seen Rebels, you really need to watch that show because it's going to lay a lot of track regarding these Imperial Inquisitors that you're really going to need to know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the show will bring you up to speed, but it's really cool for guys like us who've consumed every bit of animation and live action that these Inquisitors are coming into play. Yeah, I think it's, and I think all the hand-wringing about how they look different from their animated counterparts. Look at any character in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I know.
They look nothing, except for maybe Yoda. Nobody looks like anybody.
That's just white noise
Yeah.
at this point.
Totally.
It's who cares?
People are just finding something to complain about.
I will say the Dan Aykroyd Coneheads meme was funny.
It was funny.
For the Inquisitor.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I think,
And I love all the Obi-Wan binocular.
Oh man,
memes that are
those
coming out.
that's the gift that has kept giving.
by the way, watching that trailer when it first came out, I don't know why I get kind of like choked up by it, but I like seeing Luke Skywalker as a kid being like pretending he's in a pod race and just being a kid.
I'll tell you why that trailer chokes you up, because it uses almost all exclusively uses music from the prequels.
John Williams.
Yeah.
It's something.
I mean, it
Duel
feels
of Fates coming in hardcore.
You know what?
Okay, I have a question, but go on.
Okay, I'm just going to say of all the live action television stuff we've got so far, this to me feels the most cinematic, and this is episode 3.5. That's what this is.
This is a Rogue One vibe to it.
Exactly. You're in that same Rogue One era, right before New Hope. This is the super sweet spot of Star Wars.
We've watched, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. The shows have had their ups and downs. But I'm telling you, they can't drop the ball on this one. It's got to be solid all the way through.
Okay.
It has to be.
Question. Now, in Rebels, we did see Darth Maul be put down by Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, in the live-action Obi-Wan, are they going to revisit Maul coming in at any point?
Did you hear this came this week from the Hollywood Reporter? So it's not some YouTuber. It's a trade magazine.
Yep.
They said Darth Maul was the initial antagonist of this show, but Favreau and Filoni stepped in and say, "Well, look, you can't. I don't know if you want to go there." Because he's, this shows the disconnect, I think, at Lucasfilm, which drives me nuts. Favreau and Filoni stepped in and said, "Hey,
it's been done.
We've addressed this, because you remember a few years ago, all the scripts were thrown out, and they had to start over, and that's why, because Filoni and Favreau said, shouldn't do this." Because
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's on the Hollywood Reporter. It's kind of an interesting article.
So that's when they brought Vader in?
Yes, Vader was then brought in.
See, I saw that headline, but I didn't read it, so I didn't understand what it was in reference to.
Now, I got a question for you guys. What's going to break canon for you? Does Obi-Wan meet up with Vader in this show? And if it does that present problems to you? So everybody give me your answer.
All right, I'm going to go first because I actually had this discussion with someone. Initially, yes, that would have bothered me a lot. However, going back, I was thinking about it. When Anakin sees Obi-Wan's just handed his ass to him. Obi-Wan is in his prime. So when Tarkin says to Vader, I'm sure he's dead, long gone by now, why would Vader think that? Vader knows Kenobi. There is no reason for Vader to be dismissive like that. So to me, it actually makes more sense is if they meet up again and something happens that makes his fate more obscure, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Brian, what do you think?
I've thought that it would I've always felt like it would break canon in a way, but I could see where that, if you had, say, I think of A New Hope, and I think of when I left you, I was but the learner, but now I'm the master. And when I think of those words, I think back to Revenge of the Sith, and that was the last time they saw each other. However, it almost makes it sound like he just walked out on Kenobi, or almost walked out on a fight with him that case, he was, he just got soundly defeated by, Obi-Wan. So there could be something in the middle, but I feel like that's probably not the way they're going to go with it. I think they're going to have something a little different than that, where they might see each other, but I don't know that they're actually going to cross sabers again. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
What do you think, Matt?
I would be shocked if they come face to face. I think you're going to have a pressure situation where you will see a lot of Vader, or at least some, interacting with the Inquisitors, I'm sure, for the most part, directing them, talking to them. And I think what you're going to have is they're going to be closing in and not knowing Obi-Wan is alive, but tracking in on this Jedi that they've heard about, or, because you kind of got some hints in the teaser that, the Inquisitors are like, they can't help themselves. They always do good. So they're tracking, they're tracking in. They know there's a Jedi. So the pressure is getting closer and closer. And the closer the Inquisitors get is technically the closer Vader gets to Obi-Wan. I think that's going to be the point where they're either going to come and close in on Luke as a force sensitive and either like feel Luke, or they're going to come in on him and Obi-Wan's going to have to dispatch him before Vader finds out. I don't think that Vader and Obi-Wan meet on Tatooine. And I think if Vader did come to Tatooine, he would, I think he'd sense Luke right away.
Yeah, I think Luke's a total blind spot. I don't think there's any sense of Luke. It doesn't make sense because he literally comes out of nowhere. There's no, like, what?
Well, he thinks
it's the
he
outer
thinks
rim. I mean,
he
he's
thinks
out in
he's
the middle
dead.
of nowhere.
Vader thinks his kid is dead.
Right.
Because Padme was buried with the bump.
That's why I'm saying if there was the slightest indication to him that there was something, I would think he would hunt it down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like they're hunting a Jedi in this because they're following a path.
Vader cannot go to Tatooine.
I don't think he's going to Tatooine. I don't think Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine. I think all the scenes we saw off planet were either Inquisitors or
I thought we saw him
flashbacks.
off planet.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think that's a flashback. I think it's a flashback to the Clone Wars.
I think, well, that's okay, because that was the one thing. If he left Tatooine, that was going to bother me because he's leaving Luke
That's his
unprotected.
job. That's his job. So I don't think in the current timeline he leaves.
What if he's doing that to pull the Inquisitors away from Tatooine?
Now, if there's a good reason to do that, then yeah, obviously it'll be fine. But it's gonna have to be like a really, really good reason.
There's no better place for him to hide from anybody than Tatooine because he spent his entire life in the Jedi Temple and on Jedi business dressed as a Tatooine moisture farmer. So where else is he going to hide better than Tatooine?
Well, in those Entertainment Weekly pictures that came out, he's off planet. I mean, he is. So
yeah, but is he off planet as a hermit, or is he off planet?
I think
as
he is.
Obi-Wan in the Clone
because
Wars?
he looks like modern day Ewan McGregor. I don't.
We'll see.
I think he's.
Maybe that's the real nightlife of Tatooine.
Well, that's there was a caption on that picture that says Obi-Wan is on this planet. So there's no real
I gotta watch it
debating
again.
this.
I think Matt has had his theory soundly.
Well, I'm going to stick to my
Decimated.
theory. He's dreaming it.
Okay. Well, we see some Owen Lars
Yeah, that was surprising.
in this trailer. Joel Edgerton is returning to do this.
That's cool.
How many years
He
is that
doesn't
guy?
have to come back. He's kind of got his own little thing.
Yeah,
going.
he's
So
a
it's
kind of a
interesting.
famous guy.
So I think it's cool that he came back.
He looks like he hasn't really aged that much. He looks great.
In this one scene of the trailer I'm looking at, it looks like somebody's hanging in like a town square or something. And
Yes.
and this
I'm assuming that's Mos Eisley with
yeah,
Inquisitors
it kind of
or-
looks like it because obviously the Inquisitors are on Tatooine. They're there in this trailer, and of course we see the return of the helicopter blade lightsaber spinning in that guy's face.
Man,
I will say
that
the
was
Grand
amazing.
Inquisitor looks a little weird. I'm not trying to be one of those people who are criticizing characters not looking like who they look like, but his face is very slender.
Yeah,
In this show.
he does look different, but maybe
and he
it's
has
just
a bit of a egghead. Yeah, he could be like at an angle.
bad angle.
Yeah.
But also
These
in
are
the
gonna-
trailer, we see some old school stormtroopers. Always a welcome sight. I'm going to go back to my good old cat turd bet here. If Liam Neeson doesn't show up in this show, I'll eat a cat turd.
Mark it.
I'll eat it on live on the show. And I'm also saying...
That'd be awesome to see Qui-Gon as a ghost.
I'm
I thought
saying...
you were going to say, it'd be
I thought you
awesome
were
to
gonna say
see
it would be
Jared eat
awesome
a
to see
cat
Jared
turd.
eat a cat
Yeah,
turd.
that's
Well, that would be awesome, too. And I'm
it's a win-win for me. I
think
mean,
good
you
money
really
to
can't
see
lose
that.
this, guys.
And I think Ian McDermott's going to make an appearance. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised.
why wouldn't he? I mean, he doesn't even need makeup now to look like Palpatine. So
Yeah, he's just old now.
that's the advantage of playing.
He's gonna give the order to build 2 billion Star Destroyers underground.
Start.
Maybe he should.
Start the Exegol project, Lord Vader.
Build them underground so they won't see him on a planet that nobody knows about.
Let me tell you, I think I have high hopes for this show.
And the director,
Deborah
is-
Chow,
she's top notch.
she's solid. She did some great episodes of Mandalorian.
She did some of the
she
best
did.
episodes.
She doing every episode of Obi-Wan?
Every
Yep.
episode.
Good. So
I'm
you have
good
very happy about
consistency.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
good
very happy
consistency.
about that.
You know, she really proved her mettle with her Mandalorian shows.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think what I don't want to see in this show,
Is Jawa sex?
well, I think we have some of that with Pelly and Mando season 3.
Yeah,
Um,
they're really furry.
yeah, we know Obi-Wan's ending. We know how his story ends. He has a noble end, helping Luke and Leia and Han, and Chewie, and he continues to counsel Luke throughout the original trilogy. But, you know, my favorite post-Disney Star Wars stories have not involved legacy characters. And I'm speaking specifically about Rogue One and The Mandalorian. I think when you have new characters that don't come with 40 plus years of baggage attached to them, with all kinds of ideas in your head about how this person's supposed to be, I think it works out better for the audience. The Book of Boba Fett, while I did enjoy it, a lot of people felt it was subpar because it was not the version of Boba Fett that they had built up in their head for so many years. And whenever you play with characters like this, and the sequel trilogy bears this out because it is aged poorly, you play with fire if you do not get it right. And if I see Obi-Wan Kenobi finding some kind of sand cow and sucking on its udders, I'm gonna have serious problems with this show.
I will say that every interview I've ever heard from Ewan McGregor, he's always held the Obi-Wan character in great reverence, and I think he wouldn't be a part of it if it wasn't the right story.
Well,
Yeah,
look at Mark Hamill in the lead
Ewan-
up to Jedi.
Mark Hamill was paying
Owen,
rent.
we want you to suck on this alien's breast.
Sold.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Moving on.
You know, I think that Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
I mean, I think more so than even Alec Guinness.
Well, Alec Guinness hated the character, so
Right.
when by the time he died, he was wishing children ill who would ask him for autographs. He was a big jerk.
Yeah,
but
it's too bad.
he 100%. Oh, Ewan McGregor, even like on the animated shows when he was voiced by
James
James
Arnold Taylor.
you know, it's totally modeled after McGregor's performance. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. It's his character. It
Do
belongs
you see
to
that
him.
video I sent you guys where he says one of the things I like to do is when I go to the stores with automatic doors and people are around, I do the 2-finger Jedi move to open the doors and people love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I bet they do. I
Dude.
know. I'd be like,
I'd-
oh my God, do it again.
I still do that to this day with automatic doors.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you're
but
not Obi-Wan
you're
Kenobi.
not. Yeah, you're not doing McGregor.
I know
Who
it's
cares?
true. I don't have any credibility at all.
Who cares if you do it, you big weirdo? Look
know
at that
that
guy in
Ewan
a
has the
Star Wars
Force.
T-shirt thinking he's a Jedi.
Shut up, Mike. Shut
Ewan
up.
McGregor has the Force.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell you, I have high hopes. I look, Jared's absolutely right. This could go either way, but you know what? Just like the Book of Boba Fett, I'm happy it's here. because you know what? Whether I love it or I just kind of accept it, this is going to be canon for the character, and I'm just going to enjoy the fact that I get to be in this time frame, in this part of the universe, and see Obi-Wan Kenobi and a young Luke Skywalker and Hayden Christensen return as Darth Vader. This is going to be awesome. How bad could it be? Even if it's like not great, it's still better than anything that I could have imagined.
I hope we don't have to recall that soundbite.
Yes. Yeah. 6 months from now. Remember what Matt said on March 17th, 2022.
The Inquisitors open their mouth. They're like, hey, where's the Jedi?
Where's the Jedi?
Where's the Jedi?
It's just a 2-minute trailer, but I don't know. I just have this feeling that it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be as good as Mando. And I may be wrong, but I think it's going to be really, really good.
Well,
I think it's going to be really good, but
I hope you're right.
This is an important story. If growing up with Star Wars, this is true connective tissue. This isn't like a bonus thing like The Mandalorian where you're like, oh, this is cool. It's a new story that I never heard.
Filling in some cracks.
Or Boba Fett coming back from the dead. Like, this is true connective tissue that you are like eager to know what happened in this white space. So between then and here, this is an interesting part of the world I want to find out about. So I'm excited. Like I said, even if it's not great, it's still amazing that we get to watch it, and that we have Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. So
I don't know if they drop the ball on this one.
I'd be worried if they drop the ball on this one.
But we will find out, won't we? In just a few short.
May 25th.
Tonight, I am starting my Star Wars Odyssey with the Phantom Menace.
Oh, are you watching all the Clone Wars?
I'm going to go for it.
Oh, boy.
I don't know if I'm going to make it.
You know what? It might be better suited if you
go
just
for
watch
it.
like Rebels again.
No, don't tell me what to do. Don't ever tell me what to do.
Again, if you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, and even if you don't want to watch Obi-Wan, Star Wars Rebels is a great show. We said it many times on this podcast before. It's worth watching, and you'll enjoy Rebels. It has great stories. It's fun animation, and it's a lot better than you would expect it to be. Just like this podcast.
Oh, that's so nice, Matt.
But we will keep you updated with the Kenobi Chronicles as the show drops. We will be dropping an episode directly after.
And Brian, we will expect you back, of course.
I'll be glad to come back.
Yes. Kenobi Chronicles coming sometime in late May. And you're going to be hearing from us a lot sooner than that, like next week. What do you think about that? Oh, man. So what we'd like you to do is subscribe, tell your friends. Come on back here next Monday, and we'll have a brand new show for you. Thanks for listening. See you then.
You know you can't live without this content, so subscribe to The Hyperspace, podcasting in the 25th century. Follow us on social media, leave us a review, and join us here next time as we take you into the 25th century.